about the butters a little bit? I know we talked
Oh,
about the
yeah.
skin vitamins, but the butters are just so wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I have 5 different moisturizers that I sell, and all of them are called barrier restoration butters. I would classify them as that, meaning that they are a more dense, heavier moisturizer. Light moisturizers and oil-free moisturizers have no place, in my opinion, in skincare because they don't do the job of actually trapping water in our skin. Oils are very necessary for all skin types. And if it doesn't have an oil in it or a lipid, it can't do its job of preventing water loss in our skin. So all 5 of my moisturizers are qualified barrier restoration butters. And they're great and perfect for all skin types. I have one that it's a traditional whipped shea and cocoa butter that's plain. It's purposely has all of the essential oils and like just fragrances left out. It's a very naked type of moisturizer. It's very dense, it's soft, it's fluffy, and it creates just a really fantastic everyday barrier for our skin. And then I have another moisturizer called Lamina, and that one is what I call my medical moisturizer. And it's a very, very strange and really incredibly effective product as you have to liquefy it. It's a very strange product. It's very thick, it's waxy as you've experienced it. It's sort of like crumbly, and it has this exceptional quality to trap water in our skin because we liquefy it with our hands. So we spend a few minutes and it turns into the consistency of liquid honey. And when it gets liquid from the warmth of our hands and the friction, we can then spread it on over our skin, and it traps water in our skin just like nothing that exists on the market, although it is an unusual product. And it's a big favorite for people that are dealing with crepey skin and massively dehydrated skin and skin that just needs like instant barrier restoration. And so that's Lamina, and that has rose water in it. And it's also very neutral. It's a very, very neutral type moisturizer where it's not going to have strong essential oils or scents to it, because oftentimes those are the things that, well, that's exactly what our skin gets annoyed with and irritated with. And so a lot of moisturizers have a lot of ingredients in it that are just very irritating. So Lamina and Unity are very plain and gentle that way. And then the next moisturizer I have is called Trinity, and it has the base of Unity, that whipped, fluffy, soft shea and cocoa butter that's been densified, but it also has cacao powder added to it, like chocolate, and it has rose waters and fresh pearl powder. And it's just such like a luxurious, fun way to get a barrier restoration product on our skin in a way that's fun, but it's also not loaded with a lot of reactive essential oils. And then I have another moisturizer called Truce, and that has the same base, and that has green tea essence, vanilla, and honey. It's just another flavor, so to speak, using organic essences, just to give variety to these choices of barrier restoration. And then lastly is Nomad. And that is it's an unusual moisturizer in the fact that it's a carnivore based moisturizer. It is made with field harvested and grown organic grass fed bison fat, so bison tallow, and whipped up with a little bit of jojoba with rose and frankincense. And animal oil is a really under-celebrated and under-known way to get barrier restoration, and it's great for people who have a lot of allergies. And animal oil and fat has a very specific way of being absorbed into our skin that vegetable and nut oils don't have. And so that offers a really lovely and unique quality as well. And so one of the main reasons I have 5 different moisturizers, it's all purely subjective about which one is. They're all qualified for being perfect for all skin types. It just lends itself to variety and preference so that we can get this really incredible, much needed thing in place. There's so much misunderstanding about how oily skin can't have oil, and we don't want to clog our pores. And there's a huge misunderstanding about that. And so having a barrier in place is unnegotiable if you want to have healthy skin. And so this offers a variety and a choice for people of which one suits them the best. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to try them all. I've tried Lamina, which is my favorite just because it doesn't feel like I have a barrier on my skin. It just feels so natural, and it makes such
It's very thin. Yeah, it leaves a very, very thin residue, which some people, and at the same time, completely effective at the same time. And so, yeah, that's one of the reasons we melt it up, and it's worth that extra little rub, is because it delivers that really light feeling, but it's also like massively effective.
and it's a great primer to put makeup on too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
All of these, once you have a barrier in place and we've inserted water from the mist and the hydrating serum, our skin is in this optimal place to receive makeup, to receive sunscreen, like whatever you want. And it looks extraordinary. And makeup and sunscreen also doesn't get crammed in our pores the way that it would if this barrier wasn't in place.
Would you say it helps kind of like fill in all the pores and give a very smooth sort of setting, like once you have that?
Yeah, I mean, to a degree, it's one of the things that it does by virtue of having that little bit of oil residue in place. There's a long list of why it does that for our skin, but one of the things would be that. But beyond that, it relaxes our sebaceous gland. It traps water in our skin. It softens our pores, keeps everything really soft and permeable so that our skin can function. And so, in the way of all of that, that's sort of like a nice byproduct of when you have really healthy skin that's balanced and harmonized and has that barrier restoration intact. There's a calmness that comes over the skin. It's very harmonizing and balancing. And so, like, one of the perks of that would be this final effect of having our skin like, very smooth and not irritated, not inflamed, and it is very much like a natural makeup primer. Yeah.